What's up guys, DoubleDragon here with more PTR footage, in this case a boss guide, the Iron Quan. It's a Quan, yep. And there is no lore for this guy because it's very early in the PTR, but essentially he's just an evil lightning dude with mounts, and that's all you need to know. So let's jump right into it. He's going to be mounting a random, I believe it's random, a random mount, and each one has different abilities. But Quan has abilities of his own. Now, first of all, you got Throw Spear. It'll just inflict a 100,000 on a random target. That speaks for itself. Flurry slices rapidly at the closest tank to him for 5 seconds. Now, when that happens, I just believe you move away, kind of like that boss in the Scarlet Monastery, the one where like he punches you, you got to move away from it. So that's all there is to it. Now, the first mount is Rorschach. Obviously, it's a pun on Rorschach. The other one is Quetzal, which is a Quetzal, and Damren, which I have no idea if that's a reference to anything. I just don't understand. So first of all, you got Molten Inferno. So that'll inflict 80,000 damage to all players and relieve Rorschach of 10 molten energy. Now, relieve could imply that it gives him 10 energy or takes it away. I can't be sure because that's kind of important. The next ability, which is Molten Overload. So when he reaches maximum molten energy, he will overload and combust, casting Molten Inferno every 1 second until he's degraded of molten energy. This effect will temporarily increase his damage dealt by 50%. So it's going to increase his damage, and it's going to keep going. He's going to keep casting Molten Inferno, right? So that's every second he will hit you for 80,000. Now, I believe this is completely avoidable damage. You'd never want him to hit a Molten Overload. Whether or not you can avoid it, up for debate at this stage. But the next ability, Unleashed Flame. He incinerates the largest cluster of enemies he can find. So he's going to hit the closest targets to him that are clumped together. So you have to have 3 or more people clustered in order to get his attention. So essentially, when he's getting a lot of energy, you get more than 3 people to clump together, because you're going to be spread out in order to not have this happen before this point, and they take the damage, and that will reduce his energy by 30. I believe you keep doing this to avoid Molten Overload, or you do it to prevent it entirely. I can't tell you which one it is. So Scorched, there is no reference to how Scorched works, because usually it'll say it inflicts Scorched, but it doesn't say anything about it here. But maybe that's just because of the PTR and the fact that it's not finished. There are a couple of things missing in this guide that will likely be added later, because this is pretty late into the fights. Anyway, so you take more fire damage for 1 minute. So I guess whenever someone clumps together to reduce his energy, you got to assign different players to reduce the next energy, you know? Pretty straightforward. Now, Ignite Spear. This is one of the ones where I don't entirely understand. It says spits molten lava at Iron Quan's spear, causing it to rupture the ground with magma, which inflicts 25,000 damage initially, and then 15,000 fire damage every 1 second while standing inside of the effect. So it'll inflict 25,000 damage to, I think, everyone, and then you got to get out of the fire effect. Now, it says he spits it at his spear, and then the spear ruptures the ground with magma. I think that's right, but there are a couple of other references to this spitting on the spear and making it cause effects that it's not entirely clear. Maybe you get it, but there should be like a warning that says like who's avoiding it. Usually it has it here, but I think the only ability that has any kind of warning is this one, the Molten Overload, and that's just as important. Anyway, I'm badgering on about stupid crap. Let's go on to Quetzal. He does an arcing lightning, and it will hit a random player and stun them, and shock nearby allies for 30,000 extra damage. Now that basically just kind of deters you from standing next to other players, just like with Rorschach. You just got to not stand near other players. So it says they are stunned until another player pulls them out of the storm. Now I imagine there'll be like a clicky effect, so someone will get thrown into a whirlwind. You click them, they get out of it. That's the only thing I can ascertain from what it says there. And if you die, then you'll spread it to other players, and that's not good. Windstorm. Quetzal pulls all players into the eye of the rushing windstorm. They all suffer 30,000 damage every 1 second until they are able to exit the storm. Oh yeah, just imagine there'll be like a button you have to click or something. Damage, healing, and absorption effect will be reduced by 80%. So you can't heal, you can't do any damage, you can't do anything while in the storm. I can only imagine it's just like with Malygos, where you get thrown into the storm, you're going to be spinning around, but you can still do damage and stuff. It's just not very effective. So once that storm finishes, you get rushing winds. You just get away from it, I believe. So it's like you get thrown out of the storm, then you got to avoid all this crap on the ground, all this rushing wind. Speaks for itself. You take damage if you get in it. Blah blah blah. Strike spear. There's another spear. He'll probably calls down lightning on Ironcon's spear, causing a rolling storm cloud that electrifies players for 200,000 nature damage. Now, does this rolling storm cloud like move away from the boss, like circle outwards or something? I can't say it because I haven't seen the effect, but I just imagine that it's just something you have to avoid. It could be, I don't know how big this effect is going to be. Anyway, when players become fully electrified and will be stunned for 3 stacks. 3 stacks? What the hell is that talking about? There's no reference to any stacks. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like, it's clearly not very. It doesn't explain it properly. Like, all the information is there. It just doesn't explain it properly. They'll probably fix that later on. Dead Zone. This is Damren, the 3rd mount. So after you kill a mount, he'll jump onto another mount, obviously. Dead Zone. Damren will directionally shield himself. So it's a shield, you got to move behind it in order to do damage. Now this is interesting. Freeze mana. It'll freeze a random mana user's mana. After 1 to 5 seconds, Damren will then shatter their mana, inflicting 150,000 frost damage to all enemies. So they'll do an AoE damage, but shatter their mana. Does that mean it's going to deplete them of mana? Or how does that work? Does it just shatter? Does it mean it's stopped being frozen? I can't say. It could mean anything, but if that does deplete all your mana, that is going to be ridiculously difficult to contend with. Because 150,000 AoE damage, plus the boss's 100,000 random player thing, that could kill someone in one hit. That's pretty bad. So, Frozen Blood. Damren will strike Iron Kwong Spear with ice, freezing the ground around it. Coming into contact with the frozen ground will inflict 100,000 frost damage instantly and slow. So it'll just you just don't want to get out of the frost on the ground. Okay, that's really it. And you don't want to be near his spear. So maybe you have to get out of melee range. I can't exactly say for certain. Now, once all of these are dead, Iron Kwon will do his last stand. He'll gain some new abilities in addition to the first ones, which I'll just repeat. 100,000 random target, and it will slice at a tank they have to move away from. So Fist Smash, he will do, it's an earthquake. That's it, it's an earthquake. Rising Anger, he gets more damage done by the second, so that's a soft enrage. Cyclone, 2 Cyclone abilities, one of them, you just gotta get out of the Cyclones, alright? I'll just say that, and we'll go into a little bit of detail right now. So, he burns the Cyclone, it'll inflict more damage. He'll freeze the Cyclone, which means you'll take a ridiculous amount of damage. 5% of your maximum health every 2 seconds. So you just want to get out of the Cyclones, that's all there is to it. So, let's do a recap. Ongoing, you're going to be contending with 100,000 damage on random players. Tanks move away from the flurry. Rorschach, 80,000 damage on all players. And once he gets maximum energy, he will combust and kill you all. So to avoid that, you just stack together and it'll reduce 30 molten damage. But bearing in mind that you will take a stack of Scorched when you do so. So you're going to have to rotate players. Burning Cinders, you know, just get out of the fire effect and heal through it. Quetzal, he will stun players, and it's like a chain lightning kind of, but with stuns. So just get people out of it when you can, and don't get killed while you're in it. Windstorm, whenever you get pulled into the windstorm, just survive. That's all I can say. Rushing winds, just don't stand in the garbage on the ground. Storm Cloud, he'll electrify players for 200,000 nature damage. You know, just don't get killed by it. Just avoid it. Damren, Dead Zone. He will shield himself, so stand behind him. He'll freeze your mana, so just, you know, contend with that. I can't say anything else. Get out of the ice on the ground. When all of them are dead, he will do Earthquake. He will have a soft enrage and get out of the Cyclones. That's all there is to it. Stick around for more PTR footage. Subscribe if you want to, and have a good one, guys. Catch you later.